welcome to another episode of the Alphawaves Pod.
Yes.
In the building.
Yes, indeed.
With your hosts, Kam and Darren.
Mm-hmm.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, you know. A bit tired, but we move, as they once said.
You know, people still say that.
Do they?
I am people. I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's still said
That's
around
good.
the place. Yeah.
It means I ain't lost my step. What's up anyway? What's happening with you? Everything?
Not much.
What were
Not
you-
much at all.
What are we here to discuss on this
Ooh,
beautiful
Wednesday. I revealed too much.
way too much? But it's cool.
We are here to talk about minimalism.
Mm-hmm.
So go on, tell us why you wanted to talk about minimalism.
Why did I want to talk about minimalism?
Yes, where did it come from? That's actually one of the first questions I wanted to ask you, actually.
One day I was just looking around, yeah. I'm lying.
This place needs to be
I'm
cleaned up.
I'm lying. Nah, do you know what it is? It's like, I think it started from a very, what's the word? Surface level. Like it was so, it was me just looking at what outfit I wanted to wear, right? One day, I promise you, this is where it all started.
What was wrong with the outfit that it got you to minimalism?
Nothing. But
So
I was
I'm
like,
doing too much.
No. I was looking through my wardrobe, right? At what t-shirt I wanted to wear. Yeah, and I saw like a bunch of just plain tees. And I've been that way for a long time, like plain t-shirts. I don't really like large logos on my clothes.
That's true.
Right? But then I had this t-shirt that is, it's got some numbers on it, but it's got like a large logo, and I'm just like, when am I ever gonna wear you? Like I spent money on you, but when am I ever gonna wear you? Because I like the look of it, and then it translated from that to tattoos. It's crazy.
Wow.
Trust me, it's weird. I was like, oh, I like the idea of tattoos,
Do you?
but I can't see it on myself. Like I live a very, like my
inner isn't on my outer.
yeah.
I hear you. I'm the same.
And then it just got me, then I just went down the pigeonhole of minimalism, basically. So if you want to know that's where it came from.
I'm so glad I asked. I never would have thought that.
Yeah, that's
But
where
that
it came
makes sense though. Like when you look at something and you're like, I'm going to wear it one day or something. And you just never do.
from. It's just, I don't know.
I had the opposite though. I had a good few years where I had these dresses and I was like, this summer I'm gonna fit into them, and I never did. And then this summer I actually could have fitted into them, but I threw them all away in the winter this year.
You threw them away because of,
So I was like, I'll just keep the weight.
oh.
I just didn't think it would happen, and then it did, and I fitted into them. Well, I would have.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so goes hand in hand, you know, keep the hope sometimes.
Sometimes. So when it comes to minimalism, what's your immediate thoughts when you think of it? Can you see it in your life at all?
You know what? There were two train of thoughts to me before I started like doing some research and stuff like that. Just for myself, I feel like there's inner minimalism with the way that you live your life or keeping your thoughts focused on something or whatever. And then there's your actual external minimalism with your belongings. And I think I'm quite a minimalist in my surroundings. Like I don't like clutter. I don't like things being thrown about. Everything has a place to be and I put it in the place. But everything I have is quite, anything that's out would be sentimental.
Is that how you separate it from being empty?
Yeah, or over cluttered with things. I just really do not like things being out and about. And the stuff that's on show is the stuff that I use, like would need it out, like it's daily, like a pen pot or something, or it's something that's valuable to me, like books that I love or pictures or whatever.
Do you think there's a way of combining the two though? As in, yeah, combining the two so that there are things that you deem like very valuable and important to you and you want those things around all the time, but you also have these other things that supplement that.
Like what? Like flowers and stuff like that? Because I have that too.
Yeah, maybe so.
Or like little ornaments. But that's what I mean, that every time, but the ornaments I have will be things that people have gifted to me, or like the flowers that I really, really like, you know, fake flowers, because I can't keep replacing them. They die too quickly. But things like that. And for me, the value that it adds is that every time I wake up and look at my room, I'm like, oh, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. Because there's some people that do the minimalism, right? And you look at their space and it just looks empty.
Yeah.
But to them, I guess it's not empty. And I think that's sometimes difficult to achieve that without feeling the emptiness, to be honest, for me. Like, my space can't be, I like it to be simple, but it can't be empty and where it's just,
it's got to be cozy.
Yeah, I like that element of coziness, and coziness doesn't come from emptiness for me personally. For some people it might do. It might, like, nothing around makes them
nervous.
No, nothing around would make me nervous. I'm saying for them, like, having nothing around is their serene space, like their serenity. But for me, it's the opposite, especially in my home space. Like, I can't not have anything around me, if that makes sense. But I would describe a lot of the things that I do could fit into the minimalist bracket. But achieving it, I don't know how I would do that in my home space, if I'm honest. If I'm completely honest with myself. But
as in, you'd want it to be more minimalist.
Part of me would. But then I know I wouldn't feel the same level of comfort and coziness.
You would.
But I may
potentially
do. This is the thing.
With like accent pieces, like a nice blanket or some cushions.
But I have those things, but I still have other things to supplement it, is my point. Does that make sense?
No, what do you mean when you're saying supplement it?
So, like, let's say, this is just a random example. Let's say there is these cushions and blanket that if I had nothing else in the room, that would probably still bring me the same coziness as having that plus the additional things that I have in my room, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Basically, I'll just explain that by saying that. Yeah, so, like, I didn't need to give an example, but let's say, for instance, if I like to sit down and watch TV, but it feels even more cozy watching TV with this cushion and blanket. If I take away the TV, will I still feel that same level of coziness? Probably. But I like to have these things
to watch.
The walls.
Can't take away the things that you need. Do you know what I mean?
No, but for some people, it's not a need to have
a TV.
Yeah.
I guess that just goes hand in hand with your interests.
You think so? But I'm not really interested in watching TV like that. Like, I don't really watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
But I need a TV in my room. Not even in my room, in my
house. Yeah. Yeah. I do watch a fair bit of TV. So I do need, but I don't actually watch the television. I watch things on like Netflix or whatever.
Yeah. TV's different nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I do watch it. So I would need one, but it depends. That's what it is. It depends on what everyone needs, you know? Like, for example, with like certain workplaces where you need like a monitor and a laptop because there's a lot of different things that you need to do. I love that they're so generous, but I really don't like it because it just is so chunky on my desk. Do you know what I mean? And then it doesn't have that clean look that I like. And that's just important to me with electronics, specifically in my room and stuff like that as well. Like, even my laptop is in a cupboard. Like, I don't even like it out.
Oh, when you're not using it, you mean?
Yeah, like in the morning I'll put it in my cupboard where it's easily accessible, and then that's it. So yeah, in my external life, I'm very minimalist in that way. Like, all my stuff is in drawers. I don't really even have like perfumes out or anything. It's just either decorative, or if it has to be there and is super useful, like a lamp, then it will be there.
Interesting.
But I think part of that is because my internal world is not minimalist.
As in your thoughts and these things?
Like my life is quite busy. There's so many things to juggle sometimes. My thoughts are quite like mixed all over the place. So I think I keep my room calm because so many other things are quite hectic.
That kind of makes sense. You see, with possessions, just while you was talking, I just had a thought. Do you think people that may have not had certain things growing up will find it harder to then adopt this minimalist lifestyle because they want to be able to see everything that they've been able to attain more so than people that haven't had that longing for certain things? Or do you think
Maybe,
it could be the opposite? Like if you haven't had it, you've become accustomed to not having certain things, so now you're able to live minimal.
That is such a good question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It was just a thought that came while you was talking.
I don't know. Maybe.
That would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
If anyone's got the answer for that.
Yeah, please let us know.
That's an interesting one. But you see, like the mindset of, so you're talking internally, your life, not your life, but is not as minimal. What was the word you used? Interior. Your interior is not as minimal.
my internal life.
Internal life, right?
Yeah.
What do you think prevents that from being minimal?
I think I'm the problem.
In what sense?
Like, I think I need to start choosing more valuable things to focus on, you know? And I think I have a habit of thinking an issue into the ground sometimes and trying to like analyze it, see it from different perspectives. And I'm starting to lean on certain phrases like things really do always work out. Some answers you just won't have right now. Or I'll just say to myself, you're thinking this into the ground. Like you can't think about this anymore, you know? And just, stuff like that. And I think also, if I'll be really real, like not making peace with certain things in your life. So then when your life actually is starting to become more peaceful, which touchwood mine is, you almost start looking for problems because of how uncomfortable peace feels.
That is so crazy.
Oh, that's so sympathetic and understanding and how nice. Thank you.
I had a conversation with someone and it was along those lines about about I can't even divulge details of their personal details, but it was just along the lines of them not being able to find that peace because they're used to the chaos almost, and now that they've got a peaceful situation, they are still not they're scared of it because it doesn't show any signs of chaos, and that's what they've become accustomed to, right?
And not only that, like I think when you're that kind of person, like you're used to those experiences, you're almost in your life just waiting for the ball to drop because that's what you're used to, you know? Yeah. And it is really hard. Like I'm working somewhere else now where everything's just really wonderful. They really do value peace, and I'm not self-sabotaging, which is great.
That's great.
Yeah, it is really great, but it's making me feel so unsettled. It actually does make me feel unsettled. Like I find myself trying to self-sabotage.
Do you catch yourself though and realize what you're doing?
No, you know what? It's weird. I don't know if anyone's experienced this, but it's weird. It's like my spirit has fully outgrown self-sabotage, or maybe I just really care about the things that I'm doing now a bit more, or maybe I've grown so much through these last few months because I have been. But even though I try to do my best to self-sabotage the situation, I'll have an even better day the next day. Like I'll be even more like, and not because I'm like, no, you're not going to self-sabotage. It's just not in me to do it anymore. Yeah. It's so weird. I don't know what that is.
Growth.
Wow. I couldn't even speak. I was trying to I was trying to say man, but then I said wow. I was like, damn, maybe I really have grown.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so.
I think so. I think my desire for my desires has overshadowed my fear of my desires a bit more because they feel more real to me and I feel more worthy of them.
You know your value, kind of.
Yeah.
But I think that's the thing with growth as well. Like, we almost expect to be able to see it, but a lot of the times you won't see it until you're put in a situation and you realize, oh, I've actually just grown.
It's so true. And at the time, you'll keep telling yourself or feeling like you haven't grown or you're not growing. But it's just like, if you watched a plant every single day, you wouldn't see its growth every day, but it is growing. So it is really wonderful to see that you've grown. But then there's like a level of trust and hope that you have to have in things that the ball isn't going to drop. And that is scary.
Is it?
It is at first. Look, I look scared. I feel uncomfortable as we speak. No, it is at first. Like, it is scary at first because you're just like daring to dream, I guess.
It feels too good to be true, does it? At times when the ball hasn't dropped.
Yeah, a little bit. And then not only that, but then you're just like, okay, should I dream even bigger now? And then certain things that still exist in you, like imposter syndrome or low self-esteem or whatever, kick in a little bit, and you're just like, oh, can I do those things though?
See, this is why it's perfect, because it goes back to the whole minimalist conversation, and how do you then declutter your thoughts? Because it sounds like you're basically gathering clutter in your head by overthinking these things, like waiting for not even the inevitable, the possible. Like, how do you then declutter your thoughts from that?
So for me, and it's an interesting question because I'm in the process of doing that now. So I've been analyzing my life, my time, and looking at what seems to accelerate my thoughts and what do I enjoy doing that slows my thoughts down. And now that I've been in this new role for a little while, I've got a sense of my time, like my schedules a bit more, so I can see what is reasonable to fit in. Right. So there's two things. One is thinking, okay, what needs more help kind of thing? And like, is it my health, for example? Like, am I vaping too much, for example, which definitely accelerates my thoughts? So that's something that I need to stop. And then what do I replace that with? And then looking at, okay, well, what's making me vape? And it's no gap between the impulse to do it and then buying it. So the issue that's being highlighted to me is that you need to slow down. So then that led me to, okay, what will help me slow down? And that's like having a calming tea before bed, not looking at TikTok first thing in the morning, or any kind of social media, because then I stopped doing that. I started looking at Instagram. So then I just started scrolling on YouTube. It was just too much. Like, so I was like, okay, I need to do something where my phone isn't the first thing, because I think I'm going to open a different app that's more beneficial, but realistically, I'm not going to do that. So I need something where the first thoughts in the day, even if my thoughts are racing as soon as I wake up, I can't look at something that's going to
accelerate that.
Yeah, exactly. So that's one part. Then another part was like kind of taking things in baby steps. So you can think, okay, this is where I want to be in perfect health. This is what I want to do. This is the vision, but it feels so far away from where you currently are. And then you make these elaborate plans. So even today I was like, okay, I'm going to buy all these vitamins, then I need to have this smoothie in the morning, then I need to have this tea at night, then I need to, suddenly I was like, I've added way too much to my basket. Literally. Yeah. And then there's so many different things to do. So I was like, okay, just start with the vitamins, just get in the habit of having vitamins every day. Then you can do the smoothie thing, then you can do the tea thing. Like, I think that's what minimalism is, taking one step until you feel comfortable with that step and you've mastered it, or one or two things, and then move on to the next thing. Like, afford yourself time, because you're going to get there anyway, and rushing just leads to relapsing. Really,
it takes discipline though. Like, it takes a lot of discipline, because you're basically changing the way you think. And to do that, it's going to be a disciplined effort. Like, but I always said, if you can just be consistent in terms of find your own consistency. Don't look for what other people class as consistency.
Yeah.
I always go back to, like, even with the gym, I used to at one point try and chase this 4 days, 5 days a week thing, right? And some weeks I could do it, other weeks I couldn't. Then I just, like, all of that was based on what people was telling me, and I do believe it probably is the right thing to be able to do to achieve that.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't realistic for me. The moment that I started to see benefits was when I was able to just stick to my surefire 2 consistent days. And if I can factor in any additional days, then great. If I can't, at least I've still got my foundation of these 2 consistent days. Do that for as long as possible. That's just become the norm now.
Yeah.
To where people are saying to me, how do you do that? But to me, that was minuscule.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But to other people, just seeing you being consistent doing that is a big deal, because within themselves, they can't even do that.
Yeah.
So it's always about finding your own level of consistency and stuff like that, and discipline. But with something that you mentioned, you mentioned something about impulse buying, right? I think the moment, obviously not everybody has that impulse within them, but for somebody that does have that trait, would you class yourself as someone that has that trait?
Yes.
I think overcoming that will probably be the moment that minimalism really rings home with you. Because for myself, right, that's difficult to do sometimes, because
it's hard.
I like to be a spontaneous person. I also like to act off what makes me feel good in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm talking about shopping wise here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I went into like
Cool.
a trance of thinking about
Like,
all the things
because
that I like to buy.
there is a feeling of the feeling that I don't like is when I've seen something that I really like and I'm going to buy this and it's not gonna cause any like effects in terms of like I can afford to do this, but then they don't have my size.
Oh, that's the worst feeling. Actually, that's not the worst feeling. The worst feeling is when you sit on something, go back to buy it, and then they don't have.
Right. Yeah. But that leads into how realistically you're meant to do things. I think is if you really want it that bad, sleep on it. When you wake up, if you still want it, then you know for sure that this ain't just an impulse thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been trying to practice a lot more. But then I've had the disappointment, like you just mentioned, when you go back for it, it's not there. But after a day or two, you've forgotten about it.
So get over it.
Get over it. But it's just that's the constant battle, because when you do buy it in the moment, you take away that whole sleeping on it effect for that aspect of it. But then sometimes you sleep on it and you're like, I don't even want this anymore.
Yeah.
Or not even that you don't want it, but you don't have that same joy and care about it that you did. But sometimes you bought the thing, you sleep on it, and you realize you made the right decision by buying it.
Yeah.
That's why it's difficult for me, because when do you know in that moment of impulse to just pause?
That is such an excellent question that I just can't answer. But you know what I've started doing, because I got free delivery on one of my websites that I love to use. And so that was dangerous, because I was like, I can do this so many times. It's free delivery and just return it when I want to. It just was a slippery slope. So now,
And they know they got you as well. That's
they knew. And I got free delivery on half price. There was no way I was not going to get that. But yeah, I do a similar thing to you, is that I'll put things in my basket, leave it there, and then see how I feel afterwards. Because you're in just that rush of buying. You're just like, I really, really want to buy this. And you're so filled with adrenaline. But then you can feel like that tiny sinking feeling in your stomach. That's like, oh, is this a good idea? Do I really want this?
Because it's about making yourself feel good, right?
Yeah. So you have to like, yeah, go easy with it. And also, I used to buy like a lot of things in bulk, like this, that, whatever, especially if there's a sale on. And now I've started going through it and specifically buying outfits. So then when they arrive, I've got like an outfit, and then I can maybe use one of those garments for another outfit and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that helps a lot too.
Those type of things do help, yeah. And even like we was talking about buying things here, right? Have you ever known somebody that every time you see them, they're pretty much dressed the same? Not necessarily that they're wearing the same thing, but they're dressed the same. Like they have a
style.
Yeah, but I call it like the style. Let's just call it that, the style.
A go-to outfit.
I call it like a cartoon character.
I knew you were going to say something like that.
You just know what they're going to look like every single time, right? But it's not even like
Dexter's Laboratory.
Yeah, but it's not like staple pieces. No, it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I look at them and I'm like, where's your creativity? Like, no, in the sense of like...
All right, fashion police.
In the sense of like, not even being creative in what you wear, but I feel like how you dress and does... What's the word I'm thinking of? Like it shows off your emotions almost. Like how you feel in that day is how you dress sometimes.
Yeah.
If you've just got the same look every day, where is your creation? Like where is it happening? But then I stripped it back and I thought maybe if you're doing that, then you're allowing your creation to fester in other areas of your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be
your outfit
and your expression. In that sense, you're giving yourself more opportunity to express yourself in a different way, right? So I done this thing for a period of time where when I was going to studios or anything creative, that I would pretty much wear
the same thing.
Kind of, yeah. Like it would be a different or variety of it. Like let's say it's football shirts. It wouldn't be the same football shirt, but it would be a football shirt.
Yeah.
And I realized, I don't know how, because I didn't do it for a long enough period, but I realized that it did play a part. Like it stripped away like my creativity.
Like your creative energy wasn't fragmented to something else. Wow, that's so... I wish I could do that.
But I don't know if I could do that on a day-to-day basis.
I can't, because one of the ways I love expressing not just my creativity, but how I'm feeling that day is through what I wear.
Yeah.
And I find like... I can't speak for everyone. Everyone's different. But for me, when I get dressed up, I do feel different in the day. And it's not like you're wearing a mask or this, that, and the other. I just feel elevated. Like I'm happy with...
It's an extension of how you feel. That's the word I was looking at. An extension.
Yeah. Like I'm happy with how I've represented myself today. I feel comfortable. I feel like someone, you know. Someone that I want to be.
No, definitely. It does. That's why I'm always like conflicted, because I'm like, you can do the minimal very well, and I think I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But there are some times where you just want to do a bit more than just live that minimal. Do you know what I mean?
Sorry.
It's cool. But do you know what I mean? It's
I know why I keep. But yeah.
So,
no, I know what you mean. Because as you were speaking, I started thinking, but to be fair, I do like the same makeup every day. Sometimes with eyeliner,
is there anything that you definitely like keep the same every day? Whether it's a routine, whether it's a choice of item or anything?
Probably my earrings. Yeah, same earrings all the time. And then if something happens to them, I go by the exact same ones. Like jewelry, I keep the same. Maybe my necklaces are the only thing I'll change, but everything else stays the same. My hair I might do differently a little bit, but nothing really that different. But makeup stays the same. The only thing that will be different is if I'm putting on eyeliner or not.
But you see, like, do you feel like that helps you with your day? Not with your day, but like that period of your day, like you're not overthinking anything. Do you think, have you noticed that when you're doing your makeup and you know exactly how you're doing your makeup, there's not going to be any changes today? Is that it then allows you to do other stuff?
That's so true. I didn't think of it that way. Because I'll be like watching something or listening to something or whatever. And it's just automatic. Like I just know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah.
Try apply that to another side of your life and see how it works. Because I'm starting to think that the minimalist way is actually the way of the world.
Yeah.
And we've just added so much layers to it. That's made
hard
it
to get through.
Yeah,
It's so true.
Because, but this is the thing, it's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about just simplifying a lot of your life. Yeah. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the rest of the other stuff that you do.
Or still be spontaneous in your day. Because I feel like, and this is why I was kind of doing, like, reviewing my life and trying to be more minimalistic, is because I wanted to have more of like a routine, a staple with how I start my day, to set myself up with a balanced energy and a way to end my day. Because there's certain things that I'll do in the day, in the morning, that when I do them, I feel really good. Like, it's already a good day, so it's going to be a good day. And then still leave room for being spontaneous, because I also think that as humans, if you are trying to grow or change your reality in some way, or your identity, then you have to break out of your routine. Like, you can't just do work, gym, eat, sleep every single day, because you're not breaking that routine and allowing room for different experiences and realities to come to you.
That's important.
Yeah, I think I'm quite good with that.
Mixing it up.
Yeah, mixing it up.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's important that you do have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just stuck in a cycle, and that's like my fear of it, is reducing my life to such simplicity that it becomes a cycle where nothing else enters that.
Yeah, but that's the myth and the lie, because it's not really true. Like, if you simplify your life, it doesn't mean that you now can't have a random conversation with someone random and then something else happens from that, or that you can't invest an interest in a new thing that you want to learn or study that you never thought of before. Like, the way that I like to think of taking that minimal approach is that you're giving yourself or your life more breathing space.
How do you apply that to, like, different activities in life that you may even enjoy, but it's not beneficial to what you should be placing your main focus on? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but give an example of an activity.
Well, it won't relate to yourself, but I'm trying to think of one that might relate to you. But let's say, for instance, anyway, just generic, it can relate to everyone. Say that you and your friends meet up on a Tuesday night to do some sort of activity, whether it's sports or whatever. I was thinking football, that's why I said it's not going to relate to you.
Sporty activity.
But you never know, like, girls can do sports, whatever. So that's, let's say tennis. Everyone plays tennis. Everyone plays football these days.
Tennis, yeah.
Everyone plays football. But let's say tennis, yeah?
Yeah.
So, like, you and your friends meet up on a Tuesday to play tennis. The reason that you're going to meet them to play tennis doesn't really benefit you. So, like, all right, health-wise, cool. But you do other things for your health. Like, you go gym, you're active, etc., etc. But what you should really be focusing on is something work-related, let's say. But you're taking that time out to go and socialize. But it's not harmful socializing. How do you then look at that, something of that nature, and realize that right now, this is kind of providing clutter to my life without it actually damaging your life? How do you recognize things that are providing clutter to your life?
If you don't want to go, that's the indicator.
No, but like, you do want to go.
If you feel quite exhausted, if you feel drained with what's going on, then you kind of have to have that discernment, because you can convince yourself of all kinds of things, even if they're good for you. Like, oh, let me schedule this in with that friend. Let me do this. Let me have a good social life, like whatever. 1 week, you might just be extra tired. There might just be something in the air. You don't have to say yes to everything. But at the same time, like, if that feels like it's cluttering your life, then maybe Monday to Wednesday, you might not want to do anything with your evenings and just be at work because it's
Yeah.
the beginning of the week from the weekend, which is kind of what I'm like. But at this,
No, go on.
but yeah, I was gonna say at the same time, for me, like if there's something I need to do work-wise or whatever, I don't necessarily feel like I'm abandoning my responsibility if I'm doing something that I really want to do. Say if I didn't feel like tennis was cluttering my calendar and I wanted to do it, I'd feel quite good about it, because you can never know what just releases energy from you or inspires you in some way.
That's true.
Yeah, like lately I've been doing so many random things
Yeah.
that have lit a flame in me in terms of inspiration that I didn't think would do anything for me.
I guess you have to be open to trying different things.
Yeah, and being like intentionally unproductive with your time. You know, like I was just chilling out the other night and I wanted to do something insightful or productive or watch a video, and I started watching, I told you earlier on, pen game battle rap, and it was so fun to watch. I had such a good time and I felt so inspired after it to do something creative, not battle raps.
I hope not.
Imagine.
I sure hope not.
Next season 3. But never say never. But no, but just to be creative doing other things, because I just, you know, one thing I heard spun something in my head,
Yeah.
and it did something else, and that was wasted time, but it really wasn't.
I guess so. You need times of leisure.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
don't prevent yourself from having leisure. How much does work shape your life schedule though?
A lot, depending on the job.
Would you want it like that?
No, not necessarily. Like I'm really enjoying how work is right now. Like work is at work, and when you leave work,
You leave it at work.
yeah, because
Yeah.
there's nothing to take home, which means that when I am home, I can be creative. I can do whatever I'm doing on the side, just to, you know, freely, without having work on my mind or feeling like I have to recover from something like that. And I think that's something that's really important. Like that's something we spoke about earlier, which was one method of minimalism, which was if something spontaneously combusted in your life, would you still want it? And that applies to material things, but also situations, people, things in your life. Like if your job spontaneously combusted, would you want the exact same job in the exact same way again? And until I moved and was patient to wait for an opportunity that suited my needs and values more so than what I thought I should be doing, what I've always done,
Yeah.
I just really have no regrets, you know.
What is the key to that patience, would you say?
I think reviewing and analyzing yourself, you know, like when I left my last job, I had to really look at what went wrong, what wasn't working, all these things. And even looking back now, I'm thinking back to like feedback I got from managers and stuff. And the things that I was so like, I super would not do that. That's just not what I need to do. I am willingly, unprovoked doing them in this job. It is just not an issue for me. Because when you're somewhere you don't want to be,
You won't do.
you do not want to do a single bit more than you need to.
Bare minimum.
Even less than that. Obviously, that's why I'm not there anymore. But, but yeah, like for the right place that feeds your spirit, you'll do it.
You see, with the spontaneous combustion, right, theory, do you think it's even healthy to want something exactly the same as what you lost or left?
I think if you do, then that's a really good indicator that you really, that thing is for you.
It's for you. How many things in your life do you think you would put into that category? Not put a number on it, but
What
like,
a
do you think it's a lot
question.
or minimal?
Yeah, I think there's a good few things that I would want exactly the same.
That's so interesting. That's interesting. Because if you apply it to minimalism, you would think the answer to that would be minimal things. But
No, there's a good few. I'm thinking mostly of people, and I would want them exactly the same.
That's, yeah. How important is it to you then that, I'm not saying that this is your ethos in terms of like living life to a minimalist standard, but say that it became your thing, your entire life was surrounded by that. How important would it be for the person that you spend the most time with to buy into that? And if they didn't, would that be like a issue for you?
It wouldn't be an active issue for me because I have a lot of friends at the moment who don't live life the way that I do or don't have the exact same interests. But at the same time, there is alignment, you know, like sometimes it works where you guys can be totally different. And when you come together, it's totally fine. But then I'm just like, could I see that person every day or speak to that person every day if we are so different, you know? And then or you can, you know, it just depends on how you can match, I guess, or what is similar, like what is the string that ties you together. But then there's other situations where you might be moving in a direction and someone else isn't, and the alignment just isn't there. So it goes back to what I just said, that you might not see them as often or share certain things, you know, because it's about alignment. And I think when there's ease, that is alignment.
Interesting. But does it have to be ease from the beginning? Or can you work your way to ease?
You can work your way to
Once you start
I don't know, actually. Can you work your way to... I just feel like if there's something... You can. Like, there's always compromise. There's always working on things.
But it's also understanding each other as well, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like if you want an indicator that something, even if it doesn't make sense, is in perfect alignment with and for you, then if it comes with complete ease, then go with that.
You don't think things could be too easy?
I just told you how I feel about That is absolutely not my thought.
That was actual annoyance.
I was like, why are you triggering me when I just moved on? No, because if things are too easy, there will be something in you that will feel off. Like maybe you're clinging on to this person too hard, or you're too overexcited about it. Or when something feels aligned for you, there is a different energy than with something feeling like it's too good to be true. Because that signal of like, man, this just feels too good to be true is indicating something, I feel.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, or it could even be indicating that this could be like a healing moment for you. Like, again, like if you feel like something's too good to be true, or someone is too good to be true, or whatever, then that's your own fears. Which means that this thing, this person, this situation is here to trigger you, and that's still alignment.
Different type, but
yeah,
I get it. I do get it. Like, I get it because I believe people walk into your life at different points for different reasons.
Yeah.
But I do have that belief that sometimes things can be too easy. Like, it's it's totally different.
I don't know at the same time though, because even getting this job, to keep going on about it, obviously I'm having a great time, but getting it was so easy, and not necessarily easy as in I walked in, it was done. It was just easy. Like, obviously I had to prep for it, do all the things to make sure that it was easy. But in terms of like how I felt in this space, I felt comfortable and confident and connected. You know, it was easy. Like, I didn't have to, I had a dentist appointment, and normally I get so anxious about those kinds of things, like, oh, I'm gonna have to ask for some time, like whatever. it was just so easy, you know?
That's interesting. I wonder if that's like environments playing a part, or it's just, yeah, I don't know.
I think so. I think that's why it's so important that even asking yourself those questions about the spontaneous combustion and stuff like that, because when you're in, sometimes you can change so much, like what we said earlier, not realize how much you've grown, and then think that you're still suited to the environment that you're in. But then when you're actually in the new environment that matches the new frequency that you're on, it is so different.
How, you see with the environment stuff though, yeah? Like, how easy is it or difficult is it for you to not carry through your thoughts and your behaviors from being in a specific environment for X amount of time to then being in a new environment, recognizing you're in a new environment and not carrying those things with you?
Yeah, you don't. Like, it's hard. You do carry that stuff with you, and you can see how much it doesn't fit, you know? So again, it's being proactive with that. Like, I've started behaving more curiously and compassionately with myself. So instead of being like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting this way? I'm just like, okay, this is what's coming up for you now. So how do we deal with that? So for instance, one of the things I've mentioned a couple times was self-esteem and how that seems to affect other parts of my life as well. And so I did this course for a week on self-esteem where they give you like practical tools and tips and all of that. And one thing that they said was, which ties into what we've said here, was take one thing at one time and do it and practice it until you feel comfortable with it and you've mastered that. And don't give yourself, which is what I used to do, like, okay, 1 week dedicated to this, then the next week move on to that. You can't time it because you might master something in 3 days, you know? So you have to work with your comfortability. And what that's been doing has been creating more of like a transparent and open dialogue with myself as well, and building more trust with myself with that. And even like what I was saying earlier too, with there's a future version of you when you set yourself up to meet those things. I started flipping it around, like, okay, not what do I want in my life, but what am I enjoying in my life right now? Like, what do I like? What do I want to build on and elevate on even more from what I like and what's existing already? Yeah, because you have to like what's in your life currently to slowly switch.
That makes sense.
And that's actually one of the things that came up in all the stuff that I researched on minimalism, which is gratitude. Like, the less you want, the more you have, because you instill that feeling of abundance in you. Like, even what you said with environment, like, I don't particularly like where I live. I feel like it's just not a great place, blah, blah, blah. I was going to say so much more, but I won't. But it's just not a good area. And one thing, and I used to hate it, like I'd come back home from work and as I'm walking through, I'm just looking around like, this place is just so not it, like whatever, and then long to be somewhere else, and it made my present so horrible. And then I'd self-sabotage even more because I was just so unhappy with everything. And then, you know, and that's not that is cluttered thinking, because then you're piling one thing onto another thing onto another thing. And then what I started doing was just going for walks in my area and finding beautiful things, you know, like this park is actually so beautiful, like the trees are so tall. It's so lucky that we actually are able to have this kind of growth here. I've never noticed that before. And just finding, moments of beauty, even if it's super, super small, just, you know, directing your focus there. And it really has changed how I've been feeling.
Gratitude is important.
Yeah.
Definitely.
How do you keep yourself grateful and accelerate and move forward?
A lot of it comes to like reflection, where places that I've been, things that I've come from, the the outcome for a lot of people from those places. Just being grateful that my present as well as future look so different to the past. Like, yeah, but you don't realize it. Like, do you know when you haven't realized that you've outgrown an environment because you're amongst the environment so much that you can feel like a giant, but the land doesn't feel small. Does that make sense? But then when you're outside of it, you realize that you just outgrew it. Like, you wasn't a giant in a big land. You just outgrew that space. Like, and that's how I feel so grateful, because I was able to come out of certain places and certain environments and be able to live the next period of my life that a lot of people don't get to do. So it's gratitude in terms of that. It's gratitude in terms of just having, I'm so grateful for the mind that I have, that it's never stationary. Like, I don't see the point where my mind gets stagnant. And I love that, because it's kind of given me no pressure. Whereas before, I always felt pressure because I was feeling pressure to escape certain things, and I couldn't recognize why there was so much pressure on me. And it's because I didn't want, like, my spirit had outgrown where I was. And I felt pressure to do something about it. But I didn't know that that's what it was, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense.
Whereas now it's like, I don't have that pressure, but I still have that same level of thoughts and drive. And if that don't work, try this, but don't give up on that. Still do that, but then try this to supplement that. And then if that doesn't work, try this. And you've got all of these different thoughts, and they're all kind of feeding into each other. But I'm just so grateful for it, because it could be the opposite. It could so be the opposite. And obviously, over the other little things that you get blessed with life is just like a reward. It almost feels like, achievements and your gains and all of these things. And at the heart of it, I realized the other day, I sat down and I realized at the heart of it, I think I know my purpose, which is so important, and I'm grateful for that. And because I feel like I know my purpose, I have to just be grateful, because there's so many people that don't know their purpose in life. And that's a tough place to be, because you have to deal with that every day. Whereas once you know your purpose, you're not really thinking about it anymore. It's just within you, and you're just cracking on with life, and you don't get too disheartened by when things don't go your way.
I love that. That was such a great way to answer that question, you know, because I think it's so important to look in the past in that way, like something like seeing the distance between that. And I love that you said that, because it really pointed me to where my thinking is on the flip side of it sometimes. Like, there's some moments when I am feeling really content, where I'm just like, as you said, you just cannot believe that you're in such a different place. But then I think I have a tendency to go back into, it's just been so much, you know, like things just still weigh you down a little bit. Like, that happened, and then this happened, and then this. Like, I think, how have you dealt with that? Do you just never let your mind go there, or?
I wouldn't say never let my mind go there, but
what do you do if it does?
I don't know, you know. I accept it for the moment, because it's still part of me. Like, it's not fabricated. I just accept it for the moment, but I don't live there, if that makes sense.
I love that too. I
don't. I'll
because
try.
every moment is valuable, you know. Like, every moment is valuable in terms of what it's teaching you. So it's that, to me, sounds really compassionate. Like, it was what it was, so accept that in this moment you're feeling it a bit more. But like you said, it's so good to not live there. So how do you not live there?
By being grateful. But looking around me and realizing that I don't live there anymore.
We've come full circle.
I think that plays a part. But a lot of it is subconscious. Like, I don't actively do these things on a day-to-day basis. It's just when events happen or when things happen, find that moment of reflection. But I don't know. I think as well, at the base of it all, I realized that I'm a creator. And that's part of what I'm here to do. So I can't be too stuck because I can create a new possibility for myself. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. You're like the commander of the ship. You don't just go where the waves take you.
Yeah, literally. But yeah,
I think that's so important as well, because it's making me realize, hearing you say that you can be, you know, particularly what you said about it being more of a subconscious thing or reflecting when you need to. Because I think, especially when you've gone through harder times and you've needed healing phases to, you know, your life really is just very reflective to deal with what's being brought up in you. But I think there's a shift that also needs to happen, or like a hole that you can fall into, where you just start looking at yourself as a project and every day becomes inner work or overcoming something. And I think that's why it's so important to have these routines in the morning and the night, not just because they're good for you and they set you up for the day, but because you like to do them, you know, because your life is there to be lived. Like in your time, you should just be doing what feels good and what you want to do, because you're now in a fortunate place where you can do that in peace.
Definitely.
And that's a really beautiful realization to have.
Definitely. I agree. Well, on that note,
that was such a heartwarming
it was.
moment. That was so.
Yeah, actually.
I'm just so grateful for that moment.
Yeah, no, it was something.
Yeah.
But on that note, we are at that point of the show.
Well,
yeah, clearly. Technicals. What words of advice or wise? What is it? I always forget. We do this every time.
I know.
And I hear
and
it.
You actually said it correctly this time.
Yeah.
You said word, but we're so used to saying words.
What word of advice should you be given today?
Word of advice. You know what? Doubling back on the word, it actually reminded me that it used to be one word. I
know. That's gone out.
So I'm going to try to do that today, because it's the first time I remembered it in like a year and a half. We've just not been sticking to that. But yeah, word of advice, I would say, I say be minimized with your minimalism. Like if you are not, and this is for real advice. Oh, I didn't even do one word.
It's fine. You're on a roll. I was waiting to see where the word was in this, but I didn't want to highlight it while you was in the
moment. Yes. Yeah, no, this is advice for me as well, because we get so hung up on like, this is the new thing I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do it all at once. And you can kind of go against the point. So one thing at a time, like have your list of things that you want to do. If you, like myself, feel comfortable seeing the next steps while you're taking the first one, but definitely put all your energy and focus into that first step. And I needed to hear that today, because I wrote out the longest morning routine and I was like, God, that's a 3-hour routine.
But that's why sometimes it is good to be able to see the next step, even though you're focusing on the first one.
Yeah, like this is what I want to do first. This is what I want to add. And I've already done the first part, which was just being up at that time. Like previously, I used to get up with just enough time to shower and get ready. And it was poorly timed, to be fair. I actually needed more time. And now I've started getting up where I have loads of time. So I've been doing things in the morning that are quite nice to do. So that's the first step, just showing up. And that's an important step. So, you know, don't underestimate how crucial each small step is.
Definitely. What would I say?
Yeah.
I would say do your best to think with clarity. I'm really going to buy into this because I want to become a better person, yeah? And I think if I start to think with more clarity and less clutter, I will achieve that.
Clarity, not clutter. I'm going to add that to my list of key phrases. So I know it was meant to be one word, but clearly we gave up on that. What does that look like for you? Like to think with more clarity, like what actually is that?
I'm not 100% sure yet, but
what is it the opposite of?
I think it's the opposite of, number one, overthinking. Number two, any elements of doubt. The moment you think you can do something or you think of something, it's because you can do it. Like these ideas and thoughts don't just come to your mind for the sake of it.
They belong to you. Like they came to you.
What else would I say? Like, yeah, I think in that sense of it, that would be mainly it. But in terms of like when I said becoming a better person, I think it's partly recognizing what other people are showing you. Don't try and make that whole, like, I am guilty of it sometimes, of making a story out of what people are doing and what I think is going on. But if I'm a bit more submissive is the wrong word.
Laid back.
I am laid back. What's the word I'm thinking of? Like
patient.
More patient to really.
Passive.
Yeah, it's all words that I don't really resonate with me, but I feel like I need to
do that. Yeah.
Incorporate parts of it, elements of it, to become a better person.
You hate that word. Why?
Really do.
Why do you? But I love it. Why do you hate that word so much?
I'm toxic. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
After the villain episode.
I don't know why I hate that word, but I feel like there's elements of it that I need to incorporate into my life to become a better person.
Yeah, I hear you. Because you know what, like, same with the overthinking, like when doubt, and same with what I just said with looking at yourself as a project. Because for instance, I was writing like a freelance thing and I was like, oh man, I feel so nervous, like why am I not writing, blah blah blah, this and I opened a new tab just to journal about why I'm not writing, and it was wasting so much time and it was just heightening my anxiety. And then as soon as I started writing and honed in on it, it was so great, and I wrote something that had like great feedback and blah blah blah. And what I realized is sometimes you just have to do it. You know, someone said that to me actually months ago. And it's so annoying because I'll always plant a seed and it sprouts so like ages after. But they were like, do it like it's done. You know, like when you're doing something, do it like it's already done. And that advice finally rings true for me now.
That's good. At least it wasn't wasted advice.
Yeah, it never is. But but that's it. Like people are on their own timing, you know, like just because someone never took it months ago doesn't mean that what you've planted isn't going to be helpful or relevant to someone at some point.
Plant the something.
Which is why, just as a complete side note, like I feel you can't get frustrated with people where they're at if they're not where you want them to be or where they even say they want to be, and you feel like you've wasted your time saying something to them, because it might mean something to them at a different time. You 100%. Just planted a new seed there.
100%. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So many crazy realizations today.
It's been one of those days, right?
Yeah,
it's just been a lot of realizations, like you said.
Yes, helping me help you help me.
No, it's true. And with that, I hope we've helped some people as well.
Yeah, that would be great too.
Alongside
myself.
Follow us on TikTok as always. Alphawaves. Like, subscribe, share, comment.
Yes. We love how you guys are engaging with us. It keeps us motivated.
Literally keeps us going.
Yes.
So thank you as always.
Thank you as always. And we are looking for new guests. So if you have something to say, don't be scared to say it.
No, literally. If you've made it this far, you know what to do. If you want to be on here, just hit one of us up or us up.
Because we only have one account.
It's a joint account.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Anyway, until next time.